What's up, everybody? Since the video yesterday was doing so well and so many players are absolutely loving that Volk just like I thought they would, I thought I would follow up today with another video on ADS movement speed, ADS strafe speed, and firing movement speed. So I went through and I tested every Vanguard SMG with the maximum strafe speed build, and I got the ADS strafe speed and the firing strafe speed as well, because some of them have that perk, the steady perk, that increases your movement when you're firing the weapon. So I've got all those numbers. It's going to be a pretty short video because I'm basically just going to go over those and show some, some of the recommended loadouts from all of that. But as always, if you guys like all the work I'm putting in, a like on the video, comment on the video would be really appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to see more. But let's jump into it and we will talk about the fastest strafing weapons in Warzone. So how I tested this, I just went in and found two things I could measure the distance between, and then I ADS'd and strafed and counted the amount of time it took to get across that known distance. And then I just calculated the movement speed from that. So these numbers are super accurate, probably plus or minus, like the ADS strafe speed is probably plus or minus 0.03, I would say. Very consistent, very accurate. And then the shooting movement speed is much more difficult, much more error there. Those are probably plus or minus like 0.0, maybe like 0.1, 0.01, somewhere in between there. So I would get numbers like, for the Volkswagen, I got 4.01 one time and then 4.09 another time. So I just took the average of those two. So it's much more difficult to do that because you're shooting and the recoil makes it hard to see exactly when you cross the threshold of each measurement point. So yeah, it's less accurate but still pretty accurate. The multiplier is probably plus or minus 2%. So anyway, let's go through these. Obviously the Volkswagen is going to be the fastest. That thing is insane. It's the fastest without shooting. It's 3.57 meters per second without shooting. And then while you're shooting, you get a 13% boost if you're using that steady perk, which is great. That means you take off right when you start shooting, which again can kind of like disorient your opponent and make them miss even more shots because all of a sudden you're moving faster than you were before. On top of just moving crazy fast, it makes you just take off even faster. The Sten was the second fastest in the game at 3.91 while shooting. It does have the steady perk. Some of them don't have steady perk, so that's why that's not included. The Arma was the third fastest at 3.45. Again, that's for some reason the Arma's steady perk only increased it by about 3% while firing, which is interesting because the rest of them are all around 15%. So I think the Volk, the MP40, the PPSH, and the Owen gun are all 15% increase just because the numbers were all right around that. The Sten and the M1912, I believe, are 20%, and then the Arma for some reason only did 3%. I tested these all multiple times, and like I said, they're probably plus or minus like 2% on how accurate the multiplier number is. I'm going to try to get all this on TGD very soon as well. But third or fourth was the M1912 with 3.3 while firing, which is pretty good. And then the Type 100 doesn't even have steady, but it was in fifth place at 3.29 even without steady while shooting. So you get that same 3.29 when you're not shooting, which is good, but it is nice to have it's really nice, like I said, to take off when you start shooting because that makes it even harder for you to be hit. But I think any of them that are over like 3 meters per second are going to be pretty disorienting for your opponent. Like this is really fast. If your shooting movement speed is over about 3 meters per second, it's going to be pretty effective in terms of making them miss. Obviously, higher is always going to be better. And if you're over 3.5, it's crazy. Like your ADS movement speed is so fast that it makes people miss like crazy. I experienced that with the Volk, and you would also experience that probably with the Arma and the Sten as well. The build for all of these, I literally just went through and selected all of the aim walking movement speed attachments that helped. So I don't know if I'm going to go over the builds or not in this because I literally didn't like build out the full weapon. All I did was build all the things that would help with these stats because I wanted to let you guys know which ones could be used in this way. And then the STG build, I do want to talk about this. This is not an SMG build. This is actually a long-range AR build. But even on long-range ARs, it's really nice to have strafe speed. It can make people miss just like it does up close. Maybe even more effective out at range, I think, because nobody's expecting it out at longer ranges because most of the long-range guns have very slow ADS movement speed. So we'll talk about this. I think this is a unique build. And then the Owen gun and the well gun bring up the rear at 2.63, 2.55. You can't really have any sort of effective ADS strafe down at those speeds. You really need to be over like 3. If you're over 3.5, like I said, it's crazy, but over 3 is going to be really good. As far as weapons that are kind of actually usable in this list, the Sten, to get these speeds, you have to use, I think it's called the light barrel. And you can only ever really get decent time to kill on the Sten if you use the rapid barrel. So If you drop the rapid barrel, it's basically going to have similar movement speeds to the Arma, but better TTKs than it would if you use the light barrel. So I think really the Sten's sort of kind of not really going to be something that you can use on this list. I mean, obviously you could use it, but it just might not be the best. I think you're going to be wanting to look at like these three. I think you're going to look at the Arma, the M1912, and the Type 100. So I'm going to build these out real quick and show you guys some recommended builds for those three if you want to use them in this way. So this is another situation where the best TTK and DPS calculator is very useful on TGD. If you're looking for the best SMG build, a good place to start is the best time to kill. So I'm just going to add the Arma here and then calculate. And then this will show me the best time to kills of all these different builds. And then I can pick one that has good time to kill, but doesn't have attachments that slow down my ADS movement speed. And I can stack all those other attachments to make it very viable. This was one of the best time to kills for the Arma that I could build in the best TTK calculator. And then also we've got insane strafe speeds. So the one downside again is we're going to take off that short barrel and replace it with a 315 millimeter, because that just really helps with, you know, damage and damage range and bullet velocity. Unfortunately, that is going to kill our ADS movement speed a little bit, but I think that overall this is going to be a fantastic build for this gun still. And probably very fun to use. Obviously you can use whatever optic you want, but the idea for this again was just good time to kill and amazing ADS strafe speed, and that's basically what we built here. Okay, so for the M1912, it doesn't have a barrel that helps with ADS movement speed, so we don't have to worry about that. In order to get really good time to kill with the M1912, you have to use the rapid barrel, which really makes the recoil hard to deal with. So keep that in mind. This might not be viable at all. I don't know. I haven't actually tried to use this in game. The recoil might be insane on this, but this would be the build. Again, this is just fully maximizing your ADS movement speed. If the recoil does end up being too much, you can swap the 45 ACP for the 9mm. This is going to help the recoil quite a bit, but then you only get 50 bullets, and the fire rate's going to be absolutely insane on this, so I'm not sure how well that would actually work in practice, unless you're playing like solos or duos. Alright, so this is the Type 100 build. This is going to be slower time to kill, obviously, than those insane time to kills for like the rapid barrel. The rapid barrel gives you a crazy boost to fire rate, and for some reason damage range. I don't get that, but anyway. The light barrel is the one that actually helps with your aim walking movement speed, so this is going to be one of the faster options, and it still has really good time to kill. I'll compare all the time to kills at the end. The one big downside to the Type 100 is that you only get 36 bullets, but because this doesn't have the steady perk, we can get away with using sleight of hand. Obviously, Gung Ho is fantastic, Acrobatics fantastic, but you can pick between those three with this build which one you want to use, and this is going to have a great time to kill and be a very fast strafey boy for sure. So how the time to kills actually stack up on TGD, we've got the M1912 with the 9mm, M1912 with the 8mm Kers, and then the M1912 with just the default magazine. And you can see on here 300 health combination shots. The Type 100, the M1912 with default magazine and 9mm magazine have the best combination time to kill at 300 health. And I think you're going to be the best off with the Type 100 pretty much for sure. Out of these three, I added in the Arma build that I was just talking about into here, and you can see that actually will match or slightly beat the Type 100. So I think those two builds are going to be fantastic. I think the M1912 is going to be kind of unusable in practice just because of the recoil. So it looks like the Arma and the Type 100 are going to be the place to go for these strafe speed builds on an SMG. Okay, so this is the STG build that I was just talking about that I think is actually really good. We've got the recoil booster, the 760mm barrel, 3 to 6x, the Constans tactical stock. This has aimed walking movement speed, which again is what we're going for. The M3 ready grip. This is, once again, helps your aim down sight speed, helps your aim walking movement speed, hurts your recoil. 7.62 mag. I love the 7.62. The 60 rounds great also, but the 7.62, the recoil control that you get with this is just crazy. It makes this thing an absolute laser. They removed the penalty to damage range and the penalty to bullet velocity on this, making it an excellent choice for your long range gun. And the point of this build is to get really good strafe speed. So we definitely are going to need something that helps with recoil, and this mag is going to be it. So this mag will give us that recoil control that we need. We're going to have really fast aim down sight time. We're going to have really fast fire rate because if we have recoil booster. We're going to have great movement speed and great strafe speed. Ammunition is going to be subsonic. Again, this is a long range gun, so we want subsonic, so we're not showing up on the minimap. And that's why we're using recoil booster, because with subsonic now, they remove the bullet velocity penalty again. So we can run this and still have decent bullet velocity. It's not going to be great, but it's going to be decent. And we're going to stay off the minimap and have better time to kill because we have the recoil booster. Rear grip is going to be aimed walking movement speed. That's why we're using it. And then acrobatic and on hand, those are just, this is just for movement speed again. This is gonna be a very, very mobile main AR to run. On hand helps with your aim down sight speed. That's the reason we're using this. But this still feels like it has almost no recoil, and it's gonna have better time to kill. Let's go look at the time to kill comparison of this versus like the 60 round mag and the default 50. All right, so I've got the TTK chart. We got the STG with the default magazine, default ammunition. That's the same as the 60 round. We've got the recoil booster and 50 round mag, and then just the 50 round mag. So you can see in the first damage range, the 50 round mag on combined 300 health TTK actually kills faster, and then out at range, it's going to be a little bit slower. That recoil booster just makes the TTK literally straight up, 2% better, whatever the fire rate increase is. So I think this is an interesting build. I think it'd be pretty fun to use. Unfortunately, they did in this patch actually like nerf the recoil booster for the STG. I don't know why they did that. So really, you don't have to use this. You could go back to like, one of the suppressors and then use lengthened just to hit more shots. Either one is good, but if you do want slightly better time to kill, something to think about nowadays, I do think, is recoil booster plus subsonic, especially on guns that have high bullet velocity. Like the bar would be a perfect example, because the bar, you can use the 50 caliber ammunition with the long barrel, and you're going to get great bullet velocity from that. So you could use the recoil booster and just straight up get 5% better time to kill, and you don't necessarily need that extra bullet velocity. It's always nice to have more bullet velocity, but you don't necessarily need it. So I think that when you're building your ARs, I just wanted to include this little tidbit. I think that's something to think about from now on, is using recoil booster with the subsonic ammunition. All right, that's all I wanted to cover. Just wanted to show you guys the fastest ADS strafe speed in the game, as well as ADS firing strafe speed. All of the movement stuff needs to be updated on TGD. There's just been too much going on. I haven't had time to get to it. But with a lot of this information, I'll be able to maybe update some of that pretty soon. I'm on my friend's account, as you can see, because he has all the SMGs leveled and I didn't, and I needed to test these in a live match just because I didn't have any private lobbies going at the time. So that's why I'm using his account. But yes, if you guys appreciate the content, appreciate the website, all the work I put into this stuff, be sure to drop a like and a comment on the video. And if you want to see more content, be sure to subscribe. If you're already subscribed and you want to be notified, make sure you hit that bell. But that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.